All right, starting the bulletin to the big breaking news. This is the world hailing the India growth story. First, it was the S&P, which in a big endorsement said that India is likely to be the fastest growing economy for the coming 3 years. Now, another endorsement coming from the side of the Goldman Sachs CEO, who has hailed the India growth story and said that India's market are extremely exciting. He finds India's markets most exciting. That's the latest coming in. This is an exclusive interview which he has given to ET. It's also interesting that it's coming at a time when Nifty and Sensex are also at an all-time high. So it's good news on the economic front. Of course, as far as the India growth story is concerned, there are some very major takeaways from that exclusive interview which is given to ET. One, it says that there is a 6 to 7% growth predicted for the next 3 years as far as India is concerned. Also, he sees a high growth trajectory for India, and most importantly, he says that India has a big growth opportunity. India's markets are going to be extremely exciting. Remember, this is a time when the world had been reeling in the past 4 years from the aftermath of the slowdown due to the pandemic. And when we speak of the India growth story, India has been doing rather well. It was only yesterday that we had, of course, the S&P, which had hailed the India growth story, saying that India is doing rather well, is also likely to maintain its growth pattern. And now, of course, the latest endorsement coming in from the side of the Goldman Sachs CEO. Goldman Sachs CEO basically saying that India is doing rather well, and it's going to be a very exciting market. We are also being joined by Arijit Varman. I believe he's done the interview. All right. So, Arijit, over to you. Take us through some of the major takeaways from this interview of the Goldman Sachs CEO. It's very obvious that the world is hailing the India growth story, and the same is being endorsed by the CEO of Goldman Sachs.
Yes, you're right. And you also have to remember that the timing of the interview, after 11 years, the entire Goldman Sachs board is currently in India. They were in Bangalore earlier in the week, where we met him, because they have a very large campus, the second largest campus outside of America, where 8,000 people work. So they're meeting corporates, they're meeting their clients, they're meeting the Prime Minister. So the entire Goldman board, including Lakshmi Mittal, who is, as we know, the steel tycoon, is in India, currently in India, touring India to get a first-hand feel of this growth story, as you said. Obviously, the India business is not as large as China's, but as you know, that in China there are a lot of constraints now on global financiers. So, which is why India is looking at looking as a much more viable, bankable option for a global bank like Goldman. It's also a big test for the CEO himself, who's been under a lot of pressure back home for a variety of reasons, including underperformance of some sections of the bank, global layoffs that's happening across Wall Street, including his firm. So he argues in our interview that India probably is an outlier. It's going to be growing, as you said, at 6 to 7%. Very few large economies will be growing at that space. It will be, but he also cautioned that one should not expect some overnight sensation. This is going to be a gradual story. The push that the government is doing in Make in India, it needs to iron out some issues regarding bureaucracy, regarding what he called friction around in the capital markets around foreign capital. So those were some of the cautionary words that he used in the interview. But overall, of course, he is certainly a big bull on India.
Well, absolutely. As you rightly said, some words of caution, of course, which were highlighted by the Goldman Sachs CEO. But end of the day, help us understand some of the major takeaways, because when it comes to the India's markets, we believe that the Goldman Sachs CEO, David Solomon, told you all in that interview that he feels that India is the most exciting market. Also, India's growth trajectory also, he seemed rather bullish on it, as you just mentioned.
Yes, he is, because look, they what do they do? They help raise money for companies. They take companies public. They help in large deals, in financing them. They invest. They themselves have invested $7 billion of proprietary money. That is their own money. Remember, Goldman is a company that is listed but is run by partners, much like McKinsey. So $7 billion of partners' money they have invested in companies such as Renew. And that is one business he sees a lot of growth opportunities going forward. Obviously, they are not a deposit-taking bank, so they are not say, a Standard Chartered bank, but they are an investment bank. So clearly, in terms of businesses from corporates, because he feels that the animal spirits are coming back. India Inc. is, as he's been meeting corporates in Bangalore, which are largely the tech corporates or the startups, and then he's moving to, he's not coming to Mumbai, which is a financial capital, but straight to Delhi to meet the Prime Minister. The overall policy push, the overall optimism from corporate India, that's the two pillars of his optimism.
Absolutely. As far as the Goldman Sachs CEO is concerned, he's hailed the India growth story. Big endorsement coming India's way. This was S&P yesterday, and today, of course, we have this interview, exclusive interview, which has been done by our colleague Arijit. Arijit, thank you for joining us.